Crime across the state of Illinois raising concern, not just in Chicago, but also in East St. Louis. And it's something that is also being compounded by the ongoing migrant crisis and concerns in Chicago, and even what's going to be on the ballot for voters in Chicago. Welcome back. Bishop on Air. I talked with William Kelly, Chicago reporter. We'll share that with you here in a moment. But here is what's happening in East St. Louis, where there was some violence that occurred. And the mayor there, with the Bellevue News Democrat, covering how they're going into a sort of, well, curfew.
We beg the young people to stop this unnecessary gun violence. Here in the city of East St. Louis, as the city manager stated, we have a zero tolerance for violence. Zero. And in testament to that zero violence, we're going to be instilling a curfew starting today. And that curfew will start at 12 p.m. It's all bars, businesses, public gatherings. The parks should be closed on Sundays, and that will be until further notice. We will continue to do more.
The mayor of East St. Louis, after violence there, going into a curfew, and he went on to say that they're going to be looking for some more funding as well. But if you look at the headlines, especially from the likes of the Chicago Tribune, for instance, you'll see just some of these headlines again. At least 4 people shot, 1 fatally in Chatham, 1 killed, 3 injured in a shooting in Rogers Park. Man 67 and woman 65 shot in Garfield Park. These are just in Chicago. Chicago Sun-Times also has similar headlines here with, if we can get past the asks for money here, some of these headlines. Second Chicago mass shooting leaves 3 dead, 1 wounded in the South Side. Officials identify man shot in a vacant Inglewood lot. Man in vehicle shot, wounded in Gold Coast. So those are just some of the things, again, causing concerns here. But when talking with William Kelly, he said that this is obviously an issue that's stacking fears upon fears of those who are living in the city of Chicago. Again, William Kelly from a conversation I had with him earlier this morning.
Oh, God bless you, Greg. We are, already seeing summer shooting, and it's not even March yet. It is a worrisome prospect. 2 mass shootings this weekend. Multiple fatalities, obviously, and it's the regular violence that I think has a lot of Chicagoans on edge in downtown Chicago. Again, on Jewelers Row, which is becoming a regular crime scene now. There was an attempted smash and grab, and one of the employees, from what we understand, and we're actually on our way there right now, believe it or not, to investigate this story. One of the employees was a concealed carry holder and shot the would-be thief, and there was some confusion over apparently at the state's attorney's office over who was actually the criminal in this case. I think it's still a little up in the air as to who they are going to charge or who's going to somehow come out of this being branded a criminal. But that is what is adding to this criminal, sadly, mindset that is gripping Chicago. Is no one really feels safe. So everyone feels like they have to be their own first responder. Everyone's driving as if they're either on their way to or from some kind of 911 call. It's in the absence of clear leadership, in the absence of actual law enforcement, in the actual of any type of justice, people apparently feel that it's up to them to take the law into their own hands. And this, so as you can see, this is clearly a very bad mindset heading into the summer months, Greg.
So William Kelly also just talking about the ongoing migrant crisis. We had some black citizens in Chicago last week, as we highlighted, very upset with what's going on in Chicago.
All this asylum seeking lie, all this about refugees. No. What's happening is they're emptying out the dregs of their jails into the United States, into our communities. They're junking up our country. And yeah, we feel some kind of way about it because it's our country.
So, again, the citizens, they're upset, but Kelly says that they're also concerned about another issue that we've talked about in the past, and that's allowing for DACA recipients, those with certain types of work permissions in the country that are non-citizens, becoming police officers.
Well, here's a weird one. Here's an interesting one, Greg. What I'm hearing from Chicagoans, especially in Black and brown communities, is they are especially worried about non-citizen police officers. Black Chicagoans do not want non-citizens knocking on their door with guns and badges and with arresting powers. They find that to be particularly offensive and disrespectful to them. But get this, I've also talked to members of the Hispanic community, I guess what they're currently being referred to as brown community, and they're equally not pleased with the prospect of Venezuelans or other non-citizens showing up on their doorstep with guns and badges. There's obviously, if you look at the statistics, the number of non-citizens, migrants, whatever you want to call them, entering the United States of America greatly outnumber the total number of law enforcement in the country. So now this specter, especially in Illinois, bizarrely, or not so bizarrely, I guess, of non-citizens now obtaining guns and badges has become a new sore point for the residents of Chicago.
But you also have other sore points, including Chicagoans wanting to sound off on whether or not to reverse the city's sanctuary status on a ballot initiative. That was not allowed, but Chicago was moving forward with the Bring Chicago Home ordinance, which would raise transfer taxes over a certain amount of real estate. If you recall, last week, this was said by citizens on the Chicago City Council floor.
We also will be voting no to Bring Chicago Home on March 19th. And Mayor Johnson, glad to hear you decided not to ask City Council to approve not another dollar for the illegals.
And she went on to use an expletive, which we'll just bypass that. Here is Kelly responding to that kind of dynamic of not allowing the sanctuary state or city policy to be voted on, but also saying, hey, we're going to have Bring Chicago Home tax increases. But a judge in Cook County said that can't go on the ballot in Cook County on Friday. Interesting to hear that. Here's William Kelly.
It's a very, very unusual situation for people who are so, obviously Chicago is a one-party city, one-party county, I guess. Technically, Illinois is a one-party state. Democrat mayor, governor, county board president, supermajority. I suppose, technically speaking, they could do whatever they want at any time. They could just pass any law. So, I mean, the idea of any kind of a referendum or is almost superfluous. But yet, despite all of this talk of democracy, there seems to be a real lack of desire on the part of any of our elected officials to actually give the citizens of Chicago an actual say in anything. As you mentioned, they prevented even having a non-binding referendum on the ballot for Chicagoans to give their voice, their opinion of whether or not they want Chicago to remain a sanctuary city. So, for all of this talk of democracy, I don't see a heck of a lot of it happening in the one-party Democratic state of Illinois.
Well, there you have it. That's all we got today. Appreciate you guys hanging out and getting the latest. Of course, like, subscribe, hit the notification bell, and check out the segments all throughout. All right, it's Bishop on Air. I got to get out of here, guys. Have yourself a wonderful rest of the day, and we'll be back at it tomorrow. All right, so hopefully you join us then with Bishop on Air. And God, I got to make sure that this technical stuff, this is stupid. Why you keep dropping? Is it OBS? Is it the internet? What's going on?